Here we are in this week's assignment module, which is due this Sunday, March 31st. This week, you'll be working through the textbook by reading the introduction, which is about the origins of type and typography. It's a brief introduction. And then you'll also be reading Chapter 1, which is about the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution, Victorian graphic design, and the arts and crafts movement. You may want to have a look at this week's e-lectures that I provided for you. The first one is Art and Design, and artists and designers both create visual compositions, but the reason for doing so are quite different. So have a look at this article, which explains the difference between art and design. Also, have a look at the history of typefaces, which is about how typefaces developed after Gutenberg's invention of the printing press. Textile Designs by William Morris. Morris was a pivotal figure in the history of design, and not only did he design books and typefaces, he was also an architect, textile designer, and writer. And this article is about Morris's fabric designs, many of which are still produced and used in home interiors today. The next article is very interesting on Lydia Pinkham. She was a housewife and mother who started out making home remedies in her kitchen for her family and friends, and she became a national celebrity. Pinkham's advertisements are more than simply persuading women to buy the product. They carry embedded messages about the world they lived in and their place in it. This week, you'll introduce yourself to the class, talk a little bit about yourself and why you're taking this class. What are your goals? Do you have any graphic design background? And to do that, just click that link, and that will take you into the discussion forum. Click in the reply area, which brings up the text editor. Click in there, and you can enter your introduction there. This week, you'll begin your first bibliography and design in context assignment. You will select a work of graphic design, which can be any number of things: a poster, magazine cover, a logo, an advertisement, a package, for example. Lots of different types of graphic design. And you're going to select this example from the time period covered in this week's reading, which is the 19th century and expanding field. And you want to make sure that your example is from this time period. And what you're going to do is research the work of graphic design. You're going to examine the intent of the work, and you're going to understand the work within the context of its time, and you're going to respond to your colleagues to participate in an ongoing discussion. And you'll do this first by compiling a bibliography for your design example, and you must include at least one book, one journal article, and one web link. And your bibliography must be in the Chicago Citation style. Click that link. That will take you to the Research Tools page, which I hope you've already looked at. And this gives you a great deal of information about how to do research for this class and how to use the resources for the resources that are in the library for you. So be sure to read that and understand that. Then, once you've done your bibliography and research, you'll write a little creative brief. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't need to be more than one page. And you'll use these guidelines to do that. Now be sure that you select a work of graphic design and not fine art. Frequently the textbook examines art movements which have an influence on graphic design to give you a background about the context in which the design work is created. But remember, your assignment must focus on graphic design. Once you've done your research, You'll identify the example you've chosen with the designer's name and so on. You'll give a brief biographical background about the designer. You'll describe the message of the piece and how it is conveyed. And you'll describe the stylistic characteristics of your example that are similar to other design examples from this historical period. And these are some examples of what you might include in that. You're also going to talk about some influences perhaps on your graphic design or other historical styles or designers that had an influence on them. And then also you're going to talk about the context of the work. And you're going to find at least 2 historical connections which examine the work in the context of its time. And these can be any number of things. Perhaps there was a political event happening at that time. Perhaps there was a piece of music that was composed at that time. Maybe a scientific discovery. And that's what I mean about historical context. You're just finding other examples that were happening at the same time. And then you're going to post your assignment to the discussion board by any method that you choose there. And then you're going to respond to at least 2 of your colleagues' posts with perhaps an additional historical event related to the design example or an additional image by the same designer. This assignment is worth 75 points. And you submit your assignment by clicking the link here at the top, which will take you again into the discussion forum. And you may want to have a look at the attached grading rubric. You can receive all full credit, or you can receive points deducted, or you can actually receive additional credit. So be sure to have a look at the rubric for that. Click in the reply box there and you can post your assignment by any method you choose. So that's the bibliography and design and context assignment. You're also this week going to be starting your museum exhibition project with the conceptual phase. And this is not due until next week, April 7th. And you're going to be working on an exhibition, museum exhibition, on a specific topic of graphic design. So you'll need to look through the textbook in advance to find a topic or graphic designer that interests you. And then you'll be presenting your exhibition in any format that you choose. So this week and next week, you'll be working on your exhibition topic and overview. What your exhibition is going to be about. And you need to, there are certain considerations that you want to include in this overview. And these are some considerations that you should probably include in that. I've given you some examples of museum exhibition overviews, so be sure to have a look at these and see how these are written. Here's one from the Metropolitan Museum of Art a few years ago on an artist, and here's the exhibition overview. You can see it's rather short, it's only 3 paragraphs, but it clearly defines the scope and purpose of the exhibition. There's another one at the Zurich Design Museum on 3D lettering. This overview is fairly short, it's only 1 paragraph. And here's one from the London Transport Museum. And this overview is a little bit more detailed about the exhibition. But again, it clearly defines the purpose and the subject matter. So be sure to have a look at those museum exhibition overviews. I've also included a bibliography on topics that are covered in this week's reading. You may want to have a look at those for more information. For example, there's a facsimile here of the Gutenberg Bible in the British Library and other topics as well. So this week, you'll begin working on your museum exhibition topic, which is due next week, April 7th. You will complete your bibliography and design and context assignment, and you'll introduce yourself to the class. So that's this week's assignments. If you have any questions, be sure to send me an email. Otherwise, have fun